Alright. Hello, everybody. Why am I all the way down here? Welcome to... It's been a long time since I've done any Arkham Knight content. I haven't posted anything gaming related at all this year. And I figured I was going to go into why that is while I did just some Arkham Knight challenge maps, because why not? So... because there's just like a long timeline of events, and I've been giving updates throughout the year in the form of YouTube shorts, but I felt like I would just compile everything that has happened into this one big update video and then leave it all there. However, I don't know how loud the game is, so I want to turn this down so that you can actually hear me. So okay, that should be good. I'll have to test this out. But yeah, I gave updates throughout the year, or throughout the last month or two, on YouTube Shorts, but I wanted to kind of do a big cover everything in one kind of thing, so that you're not having to watch multiple shorts. And I figured first video of the year being Arkham Knight Stucks for self-gameplay. But anyway, so it all kind of started, you know, obviously I've been kind of absent this year. I've done a couple of shorts and that's it. I think the only short that I've posted that wasn't related to talking about what was going on and like giving updates on my whereabouts was a video trying cheesy garlic bread Lay's, and that's it. And then I posted in the last couple days, I posted like over the last week now, I posted 2 music reviews that I kind of had fired up in the chamber, more or less, because I filmed the first half of the first video, the Hollywood Undead one, before I was sick, and then the second half of the Hollywood Undead one I did when I was sick, and then the entire 3 Days Grace one I did when I was sick. And I've got one more music review, but I don't know when I'm gonna post it. It's only 20 minutes, so it's significantly shorter than any of the other ones. So, and I don't want to dedicate like a full hype build-up to a 20-minute short video, or like short by what I prefer to make. So I'm not gonna do that. Jeez, I thought I was getting a lot better. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm gonna so basically what happened was roughly a month ago, like I want to say start to middle, like beginning to middle of December of 2024, I was house sitting, like apartment sitting for a friend. She doesn't have any animals or anything, but I have roommates and they piss me off consistently. Like if you're in my Discord server, I constantly post about how much my roommates piss me off. And you know, my friend lives like down the street, and so usually every like 2 weeks or so, I would especially in November, or from like September to December, every 2 weeks or so I would go bring my PlayStation over to her place, spend the weekend there alone, because she would go out of town, and I would just film and stream and hang out and just do my thing, and it was great and it was lovely and I had a great time. And then the visits kind of slowed down, so my mental health was going to shit, because I hate my roommates to a point where, honestly, like, if you gave me untraceable DNA, or untraceable fingerprints, and a gun loaded, I would take care of all of them without hesitation. Like, I hate them. Especially at the time, I was sleeping out of a closet. Like, my bed was in a closet. I was paying $650 for my bed to be in a closet, and I was like, this is not good, like, not okay. and then having to share a room where I'm sleeping in the closet and constantly being, yelled at, belittled, etc. And the landlord's not doing anything because he's a racist, like, etc., etc. Not being able to see my partner because they're out of town, and not being able to have, like, any kind of, like, time to ourselves, having to basically mall walk whenever we hang out and, like, randomly walk around and be in public because of my roommate throwing fucking tantrums like a child. I've reported it to the landlord multiple times and nothing's been done. So, eventually it was like, yeah, I need somewhere to be away from all of this before I end up back in jail. Which is a story for another time, me going to jail. I've told it on Discord a couple times, but I don't know if I'll ever make a dedicated video on it. Maybe I will one day, who knows, but for now, I'm not necessarily planning to. But, yeah, it's a whole thing. But anyway, so my friend's been letting me stay, and then one of the times I was staying, I just woke up out of nowhere with a really sore throat and coughing things up. Well, actually, I don't even think I was coughing anything. Oh no, I totally was. Now I remember. So I was concerned, because this was like early to mid-December, and I was like, what the hell is this shit? And so I basically ended up napping the whole day. I ordered some tea. Like, I thought maybe my throat was just, like, blown out from streaming and hanging out for so often, because I ended up, at one point I spent like a week at my friend's place. They spent like a week out of town, and I really just used that to, like, rest or relax. So basically, I drank a bunch of tea and kind of just took it easy for about 3 days, and I felt better. So I was like, okay, that's good. I can get back to, my regular stuff. Everything was kind of working out. And then, what day was it? Well, I started streaming again a lot at the end of December. Streaming and seeing family and doing a lot of stuff that involved a lot of talking again. And once again, I had that issue. My throat was like... But it wasn't spontaneous. It built up over time, and I was like, oh, I think my throat's getting blown out from streaming again, just like before. Maybe it would be a good idea for me to just take it easy again. So I did. New Year's Eve rolled around, and I didn't do I did do a yearly New Year's Eve stream, but it was a lot more on the down low. I just played Roblox and hung out for, 4 hours or so before New Year's came. Usually I do like a 12-hour stream. But this time I didn't. So I did all that, and went to sleep at midnight, around midnight. Woke up in the morning to find out that I had a community guidelines strike, and I wasn't really sure why. They still never gave me an explanation. It said hate speech. I tried to talk to YouTube about it. They told me to go fuck myself. And I never really got it explained what was going on. From there forward, so I couldn't upload for a week, stream anything for a full week, which obviously wasn't good. Wasn't preferred. But then I got sick. Like New Year's Day, I got hella sick. To the point where I went and got more tea. I had like a cold, basically. I just thought, oh, it's just a cold. but it got like worse and worse, and it hurt to the point where I thought maybe it was COVID, and I've never had COVID before. Even after the whole quarantine and everything, I was super safe about it. I was vaccinated. I never got any of the virus. Like, I was careful. I was safe. I quarantined everything. So I kind of warned everybody in the house, like, I don't know if I have COVID. I have something, though. I'm sick. I'm going to, like, lock myself in my room, or my closet, I guess, for, like, a week and see what happens. And basically the whole house threw a fucking bitch fit. And but it wasn't like they were like, oh, you know, maybe you should, like, find somewhere you can stay, like a friend's place, like maybe that would be safer if there's less people around to get infected. You know, maybe house sitting here or something, which I would totally understand, to be honest, if they had been, like, nice about it. But they were like, oh, better find somewhere else to go, because you're not fucking staying here if you got COVID. Like, buddy, you live in a country full of fucking diseases. Nobody gives a shit. None of you... half the diseases in Canada now are from your kind. But anyway, point being that they were nothing but ignorant assholes. So I did a COVID test right in front of them and proved I didn't have COVID. Still didn't know what I had. I went to a hospital. They told me I had an allergy to snow mold, which I guess is a mold that grows on snow when it begins to melt. And I was like, okay, I guess. They're like, yeah, just go get some, like, NyQuil and, like, you know, like cough syrup and such, and you should be good. Just some over-the-counter stuff. So I did that for about a week. Basically just took some melatonin, took NyQuil, drank tea, ate soup, and just kind of napped, and you know, the whole kind of shebang on that. And it didn't get any better. It continued to get worse. I continued to feel sick. Eventually, it kind of... some of the cold symptoms got better, but not really, you know. I wasn't really leaking snot or anything anymore. But the cough was what was really bad. It was getting to a point where I would lose my ability to breathe for a couple of seconds at a time. Like, I would basically... it was like an asthma attack. And I was like, what is going on here? This is not just allergies. This is something else. So I went ahead and I went and got, I went back to the hospital, right? I didn't want to do this map. I'll keep going when I get to the next map. But, so yeah, I wasn't really feeling... I was feeling a little better, but not really at all. And the breathing issues were actively getting worse. So I went back to the hospital, and they were like... they did an x-ray on my chest, and did some blood work. They're like, we didn't find anything. And that continued for like 3 hospital trips daily, until they eventually were like, okay, so we think maybe your childhood asthma is coming back. Which I didn't really have childhood asthma per se. I got bronchitis and pneumonia when I was like 7, 8, somewhere in that area. And it put me in the hospital for a long ass time. Like, I missed Christmas. And it developed to the point where they were like, yeah, it was life-threatening. They had me on oxygen. Like, I pretty much could have died at like 8 years old from how bad it was. They said, and then after that I was on inhalers for 6-7 months, something like that. So, and then they diagnosed me with asthma for about a year after that, and then eventually it kind of just seemingly cleared up. But like looking back, it would make sense if I always had it, because I remember losing breath like at the most random times. But point being, eventually I stopped having inhalers and I kind of moved on. But they thought, yeah, we think maybe your asthma, like, something's up with your lungs and your asthma might be coming back. And they gave me prescriptions for inhalers, one with medication and one to just kind of, well, I mean, they both had medication, but you get my point. So they gave me 2 inhalers, and they kind of were like, let us know if it gets worse, and we will... Actually, they didn't do blood tests the first time. They just did the chest x-ray. And then they said, come back, and I came back, and after a while, they were like, okay, we're going to do blood work. They did blood work, once again, found nothing. They're like, we're just going to give you these in case your asthma's coming back. Let us know if it gets worse. Once again, the inhalers, like, helped in the moment when I was coughing and couldn't breathe. It did help. However, the coughing was getting more frequent, I was losing my breath more frequently, and it was getting really bad. Because it was getting to a point where I could barely move, I could barely function without losing breath. And I'm like, that's not asthma, that is something else. Like, that's gotta be, like... So I went back to the hospital another, 3 or 4 days in a row, because, once again, they wouldn't do anything, and also I take the bus everywhere. So if I wasn't out by, 11:30 at night, I needed to go home and just come back in the morning. So I was there for, basically pulling 13, 14, 15, 16-hour shifts of waiting at the hospital for 4 or 5 days before they finally got me in to do something. They'd get one thing done, for example, maybe get a needle in me or something, and then I'd have to go, and then I would come back and be like, yeah, you guys did this yesterday. So it was a really long ass process, and I only ever took that one video in the hospital because they don't usually allow pictures, and I didn't want to get random people in the video, and etc, etc. So yeah, no, it was bad. But anyway, I did all of that, and then eventually they were like, okay, so we think you have bronchitis again, and the reason that it's messing with you so bad is because in November of 2023, I actually briefly, basically froze to death, and they had to resuscitate me. Essentially, I was so cold that my lung function had stopped, and they had to bring me back, and I'd also just gotten over a really bad lung infection in September of that year. Hence the lack of uploads at the first place I was renting, because once again I was hella sick the whole time. I only ever posted 3 or 4 videos. But yeah, it got to a point where it was bad. It was awful. It was really bad, and it just continued and continued and continued, and after about 4 days, like I said, of just sitting at the hospital and waiting, they eventually gave me medication for what was meant to be a bronchitis medication. I took that for the week they gave me, but then within about 3 days of taking that medication, I was in the shower, and then after I left the shower, something was up with my ear, and I was like, oh, I think there's water in it, let me try and get it out. And I definitely got it out, but it was hurting, something was wrong with my ear, and it was 2 in the morning, and I'm in the bathroom trying to get something out of my ear, and out of nowhere my mouth starts bleeding, and it was it wasn't like I bit my tongue, I didn't bite my lip, there was no cuts on my gums, nothing going on around my teeth, I didn't chip a tooth or rip my tooth out, just out of nowhere, just wasn't coughing, wasn't gagging, wasn't puking, just blood coming out of my mouth. And Well, obviously that concerned me because I lost so much blood and had been coughing up blood previously, hence going to the hospital for my lungs. That the minute that I coughed, like that blood came up, I was like, yeah, no, and it got bad enough that I was feeling woozy. So I said, okay, well, screw this. I'm going right to the hospital when the buses start again. And I did. I went back to the hospital. They checked my ear. They said, yeah, it looks infected. We don't know what's up with it, but they think maybe some shampoo got stuck in there. Something relatively simple to fix. I'm still taking the medication for it now, actually. Amoxicillin they gave me. But, so they gave me that, and I have been taking that. It's been helping, so that's good. And as for the bleeding in my mouth, they don't know what was wrong with me. They still never to this day even figured it out. I even went back the next day to get more tests done, and they were like, we have no clue. So keeping in mind that at this point, this is about 8 hospital trips over the course of 2 weeks. I've barely been at home. Like, I haven't even had time to do anything. And then a couple of days before the issue with my ear, in fact, I think it was the same day, honestly, I finally left the closet. So, that sounds weird. I came out of the closet, guys. No. What happened was I moved all my stuff to the basement because, first off, my roommate's unbearable, and I legitimately was telling people that I, was at this point planning his murder because I wanted him gone. I was losing my actual shit. I was legitimately looking at them like, dude, I literally watch horror movies and wish it was him, that was getting killed. But anyway, it was bad. It was bad. Even just seeing his fucking face, I wanted to cave it in. But anyway. Anyway, so one of the guys that was living in the basement left early, too, so the landlord didn't have anyone set up. So I just messaged the landlord and said, yo, can I go into there instead? I can pay the same amount of rent I've been paying, keeping in mind that in January he lowered my rent to $500 because I basically bitched him out and said, I'm not living in a closet for $650 a month. If you think you can fucking scam me, you can't. And I told him, I literally told him, you can lower my rent or, I'm leaving. And he didn't want me to leave because I'm the only person who knows how to take care of a house because I'm not from a third world country. So, I'm the only reason that the house ever looks clean. Which is another reason I hate living there because everyone's always on my ass because they're like, oh, the landlord might be coming. You need to clean the house so that we don't get in trouble. And I say, well, that's not my problem. And, that's the thing. The landlord likes me because I'm, not putting up with their shit and because I'm a good tenant and I respect the rules of my lease and such. And the roommates hate me because I'm the landlord's favorite and can basically say or do whatever I want and he won't do shit about it because he likes me. For the most part, So it's kind of anyway, I moved into the basement and then literally the ear thing happened. And I also didn't have a long enough cord for the outlet in the basement, the singular outlet that I had to myself. I didn't have a long enough I didn't have a wall, a power bar. And I didn't have an extension cord. I didn't have anything long enough to reach. I needed a 10 to 12 footer. And I had a not even 2 footer. It was probably 30, not even 30 inches. A foot long is 12 inches. So it was probably 6 inches. Literally less than a foot long. It was tiny. So then I went through a whole thing with that, keeping in mind that I'm going to the hospital every day too, so I don't even have time to look at extension cords, and I'm sitting in the hospital waiting room trying to look at extension cords at the same time because I've got so much shit going on. So eventually, everything was kind of doing better for a while there, and I was really glad about it. Because I was feeling a lot, I was starting to feel better, I wasn't coughing up stuff, like, everything was getting better, and it was just the extension cord that needed fixing. So I bought one from Walmart that was 6 feet, thinking, oh, it might fit, like it might manage to stretch, and it did not. So then I ordered one off of Amazon that was 10 feet, so then I had to wait a couple of days for it to get there. Wasn't really a huge deal. But obviously I had no access to my stuff in that time, which is why I started posting the, because that was like the 19th. Like, that was not too long ago, where I had, you know, no access to my games or anything, nothing I could make content with outside of, I finished up the Hollywood, or this is probably like the 14th, 15th, but point being, all I could really do if I wanted to work on some content was to finish up / work on music reviews. Hence why I finished the Hollywood Undead review while I was still sick, did the entire 3 Days Grace Human review when I was still sick, and reviewed one other album while I was still sick. And because I literally had nothing else I could do. And then I eventually, extension cord came in, and I was like ready to set everything up, but then boom, my powered cord was missing. I had no idea where it had. Well, actually, the first thing that happened was I had the extension cord, but my PlayStation was still at my friend's house because I never brought it home from house sitting, because I was like, I don't have room to keep it here until I get my shit set up in the basement. So it had been at my friend's for about a week, just chilling. And so I had to set up a day to go and get that, because we both are very busy people, you know, having an adult life is pretty busy. So that took almost another, like, 4 or 5 days to figure that out. Basically, they were gone out of town, but I hadn't been able to house sit, so I was gone, or I had to wait for the full weekend to go and get that again. So I basically ended up napping all weekend. And I couldn't even watch Disney Plus because suddenly my Disney Plus was not working out of nowhere. It was saying, it was something about a payment being fucked or something, even though I did pay it. So then I had to get on the phone with, like, actual worker from Disney Plus to be like, what is this shit? So I'm doing that while then suddenly my coughing starts coming back. Eventually I get my PlayStation back, and I get the worst, like, but, like, I get the PlayStation nice and all set up, only to realize my power cord is gone missing. And my friend and I searched her whole house for it, found nothing. I searched my whole house for it, found nothing. I even, like, you know, Batman interrogated my roommates for it, because they, like, you know, stereotypes and all. They're not black, don't worry. It's not that stereotype, but, you know, plus I just don't like them, and I wouldn't put it past them to steal my shit, because they've totally done it before and they can't even pretend they haven't. But it's only been my food that's gone missing, so I was confused on why it would be my power cord. But, like, you know, but anyway, so then I had to Amazon order another power cord for my PS4, which I now have, obviously. I'm playing it right now. But the one I got's actually better than the one I had, so I can't even be that mad. The one I had was friggin' tiny, like, probably, like, literally 6 inches. I measured. And this new one's 4 feet. And, it's also a lot more secure. The other one had just, like, a basic plug, and this one is a lot more, it's a little more effort to get into the outlet, but it stays in there more securely. So that's good. And like I said, it's longer, so I'm able to... I have more options on how to set it up. And all that stuff. So that's good. And so, yeah. I got that set up. And then immediately I got the worst splitting migraines out of nowhere. I legitimately thought one of the neighbors vacuuming was my PS4 fan. I'm not even joking. But I got such a bad splitting headache that, like, I would start coughing. Like I said, coughing came back. It was gone for about 3 days, and I was getting back to normal, but then the coughing came back. I wasn't coughing anything up anymore, thank God. It was mostly just regular coughing, dry coughing. But it was fucking painful because with my headache, it was causing me to... my headache was so bad, I was getting nauseous, I was vomiting, I was, like, fainting, and that all happened at night, so I couldn't even, like, go to the hospital. I wasn't going to call an ambulance because you got to pay a fee for that, and I can't afford that. So I ended up back at the hospital the next day again. Waited for another 2 days. Waited till 11:30. Went back. Eventually they said they stuck me with like 8 needles. And keeping in mind, I think I'm at 12, 14, something like that, hospital visits in this month alone. And they're stick me with like 8 different needles, do a bunch of different tests, give me an IV thing that hurt like a motherfucker because I've never had an IV before. And that was kind of scary because that was a pretty deep needle, and I'm not really a fan of needles. It's not that I'm scared of them, I just don't like the visual that I picture in my head of them going into my fucking skin and fucking taking my bodily fluids that are meant to stay inside. To be quite honest, I don't have a fear of needles. I have a crippling fear of blood, but like not in games. I can play bloody games like Mortal Kombat, but in real life, if my blood leaves my body, I like will fucking gag, I'll pass out, I'll fucking faint. Like, I'm very squeamish with that. So I'm just not doing great in that hospital. I'm shaking, I'm having a panic attack, I'm almost passing out in the middle of the floor. Like, it was not good at all. And the whole time I'm trying to stay awake. I'm starving because they luckily they ended up giving me some like hospital tuna sandwiches, which like aren't bad. I know everyone says hospital food sucks, and a lot of it does, but I don't know. Maybe I was just really hungry because I actually thought that tuna sandwich was bomb as fuck. So I was probably just legitimately like clinically starving. But so then they came back to me and they said I had low potassium, and they're like, here's some medication. Like, here's they gave me 2 big fucking horse pills that I could barely swallow. And they gave me, tuna sandwich, like I said, so I could have food with it. They gave me, and then they gave me another IV with potassium in it, and that stung like a motherfucker. Like, all the veins in my left arm, like, stung, and it hurt, and it was legitimately painful to the point where I was shaking and like, fuck, when will this end? And then that got bad enough that I ended up going to going to the nurse and being like, I really don't know how long I can do this without passing out purely from pain. Like, it's bad. So they lowered it and they kind of toned it down with some like watery shit that would make it hurt less, because it was like diluted. They kind of diluted the medication. And that helped a decent amount, so I was able to go through with it. So I got all that done, and then they basically wrote me a prescription for some meds, and that were gonna like help keep my potassium going, and then like basically supplements. So I was like, okay, great. And then I went to the pharmacy to go and get them. They're like, oh, it'll take like half an hour to fill. So I ended up kind of just walking around Shoppers Drug Mart for a while. I don't know if Shoppers exist outside of Canada, but it's a pharmacy / grocery store. So you go to the pharmacy, you can like pick up a med, and then you can like walk around, and they've got pretty much everything you can think of. Like they've got like, anyway, everything you would expect from like a Sobeys or a Zehrs or whatever. I wouldn't put them that far, but like maybe a Walmart. Yeah, like a Walmart, I guess. They're usually in smaller buildings than a Walmart though, so they're not huge. So there's not a huge amount of selection on different things. It's closer to like a convenience store selection than it would be a grocery store selection. But they have like a dedicated toy aisle, a dedicated books. So like, it's interesting. It's an interesting place for those who don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just Canadian or not, but yeah. So I ended up kind of just wandering around, staring at different things. Got myself an iced tea to wash the meds down when I got them. And then I got the meds, or I went to go pick up the meds from the counter when they kind of called my name over the thing. And they were like, oh, you need to pay like $180 because it's not covered under your insurance. And I wanted to turn into Luigi right then and there, but I just kept my cool and I said, I'm sorry, but I can't afford $180 for potassium supplements. I could just go get a banana for like $2, like a thing of bananas, and right then and there I'm good. Like, I'm not doing this, and I left. But as I was leaving, they're like, well, we can try to get a hold of the hospital and try to have the fee waived or something, because like, you know, yes, a banana can help, but it is kind of dangerous to go on that alone when you need to like really up your potassium, or else you're going to probably, like they said, it could be life-threatening. They said the point that I was at wasn't quite life-threatening, but it was at a dangerous point. So then they had me give them my phone number, and they said they'd give me a call. That was on Monday. It's now Friday, and I haven't gotten a call yet. Or at least the day I'm recording this, it's Friday. And I haven't gotten the call yet, so to be quite honest, I have no idea. So that's a little bit concerning. But it's all good. And but yeah, so it doesn't seem like anything's gonna work out for that. No big deal, because I ended up just buying some bananas. Actually, just finally got them today, before sitting down for filming and recording today. Went out and got that. I've also been setting up appointments to try and get some stuff done with just some stuff that'll hopefully help me generating some extra revenue, and getting all that sort of stuff figured out. And yeah, that's kind of where that's going from here. Like, that's kind of the plan for now. And yeah, so that's kind of where everything's kind of going right at this moment. Yeah. So we'll kind of, I'm feeling a lot better. I am still coughing occasionally, but I am doing a lot better. I managed to get groceries. I managed to get everything. I'm all doing good. And hopefully things clear up relatively soon. They're pretty much there, hence why the filming. It's really just a slight cough here and there. I'm going to start eating these bananas in a couple days when they're actually like edible, because right now they're like fully green. And we should be doing really good soon, and we should be back in full swing. The last time my house sat, I was still sick. I got a bunch of stuff recorded without my mic, so there will probably be some no commentary stuff uploaded over the next couple days or so. I've got a big announcement coming in February that I'm actually really excited to tell you guys. It is part of my search for extra income, and yeah, stay tuned. This channel's got some big stuff coming.